Hey YouTube, my name is Tariq. I'm a music photographer and videographer based out of Portland, Oregon. In this video, I'd like to shed some light on the 3 different avenues you can take to photograph a music festival. Now, I'm sure there are more than 3, but I think it's safe to say that the 3 that I'm about to mention are the most common. Shooting for a publication for free, shooting for an individual artist or multiple artists, or shooting on the official media team for a festival. We're gonna go through all 3 of these avenues in that same order so that no matter where you are in your music photography journey, you'll have the information that you need to move forward in your career. We'll also briefly touch on other topics such as rates, the shotgun method, and double dipping. Let's get started. First up on our list is shooting for a publication. And 99.9999% of the time, this will be for free. Now, I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't be working for free regardless of whatever job it is that you're doing. And with the time it takes to drive to the festival's venue, the hours and hours it takes to shoot all of your favorite artists, and then having to edit the photos afterwards, and with how expensive gear is too, doing all of this for free sounds flat out absurd. But the harsh reality is, there's absolutely no way you'll get hired by an artist or the festival itself unless you have a body of work in the form of a portfolio that establishes credibility. And if nobody hires you, you'll never be able to build your portfolio in the first place. It's a real catch-22 situation because you can't build a portfolio if you can't even bring your camera into the festival's venue. Which leads us to the most humbling part of all of this. You're gonna have to join a publication and shoot for free. I personally joined 4 or 5 publications, including my university's radio station, a couple magazines, and even a news outlet. Also, a quick aside, you may be wondering what's in it for these publications. Well, in almost all cases, you'll be supplying them with your top photo selects so that they can be published on their website and or in an actual physical magazine, which is kind of cool. Along with the photos, some publications will expect a write-up from you about the festival as well. ChatGPT would have been so helpful back then. But anyway, by reaching out on the publication's behalf, you've increased your chances of getting a festival media pass by honestly a substantial amount. This was exactly how I shot the last Warped Tour that took place in Oregon. I can't even think of any situation where a photographer without a portfolio or without a publication will be granted a photo pass for a festival, unless they're like one of the artist's cousins or something. That said, on top of not getting paid and on top of having to find a publication that will allow you to join them, when you're actually at the festival, you'll be limited to shooting only the first 3 songs per artist, 99% of the time. But the moment you're inside the festival grounds, I'd recommend focusing on the following. Shooting as many usable photos of the artist as you can, while under pressure and a time limit. Meeting as many people in the industry as you can. Later in this video, you'll realize how important having a good network truly is. And even after the festival, dialing in your upload and editing workflow, like getting the content from your camera to your laptop and into Lightroom, and sending the high quality edited photos to the publication in a timely manner. Yes, you'll be doing all of this for free in the beginning, but this is the optimal time where you'll be building that foundation of skills that will eventually lead you to paying festival gigs. Because as you must know since you're watching this video, festival gigs have a higher barrier to entry, and there's a ton of competition. Now for the second avenue and the first paid method you can take to shoot at a music festival. Shooting for an individual artist or multiple artists. Low-key, this might be my preferred method of shooting at music festivals, and I'll explain why at the end of this video. Anyway, at this point in your music photography journey, it's expected that you'll already have a portfolio of high-quality artist photos to showcase to potential clients. And they won't know that it was free publication work. So let's assume there's a somewhat local, driving distance festival that's coming up in the next 2 to 3 months. Let's use this old festival flyer of Beyond Wonderland at the Gorge as an example. And let's say you want to work with the DJ Flosstradamus. What should you do? Well, first, you're gonna wanna reach out to the DJ's manager. And there's multiple ways to find the DJ's manager's email, but I've found that the best places to find a reliable contact are on the artist's Facebook page or on their Instagram. If worst comes to worst, you can Google the artist's name plus management, and sometimes you'll actually find official management websites that showcase their entire roster. And in the likely event you do find a reliable contact, you'll need to send a cold email to them essentially selling your services. Now, I've discussed cold emails multiple times on my channel, and even created a dedicated video on my exact cold emailing strategy. So I won't dive too deep into it in this video, but I will leave the actual cold email I use to get this specific festival gig for you guys to see. It answers how far in advance I reached out before the festival, which took place on June 17th, how many back and forth correspondences there were before the actual show date, and how much my rate was. You'll even notice I linked to a dedicated page on my website for photos I took at the Gorge Amphitheater, since that's where this festival was taking place, and I've captured so many photos there throughout my music photography career. This is an added touch that, in my opinion, can go a long way, especially if you frequent a festival venue often enough. Now, when you go with the second method in order to shoot a music festival, there's actually nothing stopping you from reaching out to multiple artists on that same lineup, what I've called the shotgun method ever since I saw this tweet. The reality is that getting booked by multiple artists not only maximizes your profits, but also grows your network in an insane amount. Just be wary of the following things if you do this. If you're reaching out to multiple artists on the same lineup, there's a huge chance that a lot of the artists have the same manager or are part of the same management company. So be careful copying and pasting the same email, as it can come off super unprofessional. Don't bite off more than you can chew. The most artists I've shot at any festival is 7. I did this at EDC Las Vegas and Dream State SoCal. The most number of artists I've shot in a 24-hour period is 5. And let me tell you, when you account for the edits as well, this can be exhausting. That said, this method, if done properly, can be more lucrative than the third option we're about to discuss. But back to what I was saying, if you're reaching out to multiple artists across different stages and genres, there is a chance of overlapping sets. So be hyper aware of this when reaching out. This has happened to me before, but I made it work by absolutely booking it between both stages. And lastly, I know this YouTube video focuses on festival photography, but if you choose to shoot a music festival using this approach, offering video work as well will substantially increase your chances of getting hired. Now for the third and final method, shooting on the official media team for a festival. With the second method, you really only have to focus on capturing photos and videos of the artists during their hour-long set and then editing all of the deliverables afterwards, usually due by noon next day or within 24 hours of the set. Multiply this by the amount of artists that you get booked for, and there's usually no contracts ever signed. Now, when you're hired to be on the official media team for a festival, all of this changes. You are not only responsible for capturing everything from the guest experience to the stage production to the festival characters and artist performances, but you're also likely working for upwards of 8 to 10 hours or more every day of the fest under contract. Typically, this starts a couple of hours before the doors open and ends an hour or so after the festival ends. I'll use Boo Festival in Seattle as a specific example for this case, where I was part of the official photo team. I got hired after being recommended by someone in my network who became my friend when we were both on the video after movie team for another festival the summer prior. And I was hired onto that festival's after movie team after knowing the head of the video team for around 4 years at that point. I think we first met at Paradiso 2019. This just goes to show you that if you produce good work, you're kind and professional, you've created some sort of name for yourself in the industry after at least a couple of years of work, and most importantly, you developed a reliable network over the years, you'll begin getting booked and recommended for media team gigs without even having to reach out yourself. That said, here are some important things to note when you're shooting photos on the official media team for a festival. First is rate. I was offered $750 per day for this festival, and I countered with $850 per day, and they granted it. That said, I just know there are some media team photographers out there making $1,000 a day, or maybe even more. In my experience, when you're shooting at a festival on an official media team, you'll need to drop at least 50 to 60 edited photos throughout the day. That means that timing is of the essence. Here's a screenshot of my notes app from day 2 of the fest. This was a shorter day, but you can see that I scheduled 3 different drops where I uploaded everything I just captured and edited as many usable photos as I could in that time frame, so that the social media team has content to post in real time while the festival is happening. The photos that you deliver during the drops are not your final deliverables. Within, I would say, a week or less, you'll be expected to deliver final albums for each day, equaling around 200 photos in total, at least in the case of this festival. For Boo Seattle, I delivered 397 photos, 205 photos for day 1 and 192 for day 2. So basically, I delivered around double what was expected of me. And last but not least, there's a loose term called double dipping, where you're on the official media team, but you're also booked by individual artists at the same time. I have done this once in the midst of the pandemic at a local road rage drive-in, where I was on the official media team, and I was also hired by the dubstep artist Hi, I'm Ghost. But I would not recommend doing this at bigger established festivals because it looks incredibly bad, especially if one job task perhaps pulls you away from another. For Boo Seattle, I was booked by Barely Alive over a month before I was even asked if I had interest in joining the photo team. And when I was hired on, I not only let Barely Alive's team know with full transparency, but I even passed along the gig to a good media friend of mine. Ironically enough, I ended up shooting for Barely Alive anyway, because I was responsible for that stage that day. To wrap up this section, I'm not sure of any other scenarios besides straight nepotism that can get you hired on for official media teams. There isn't an application or an easily accessible email you can reach out to. It's truly all about who you know and who you meet along the way during your journey. And of course, creating amazing scroll-stopping content for your clients. Lastly, I can't end this video without mentioning why I prefer the second method to the third method, outside of it sometimes being more lucrative. Well, to put it simply, you feel more free to do your thing with the second method. You go in, you shoot your artist or artists, you head back home or to your hotel or Airbnb, you whip out those edits, and you're done. And of course, this isn't to sound ungrateful of my experiences, because I've loved every moment of being on these media teams. But there's just so much red tape you have to adhere to. And this might just be me. I work better when I do my own thing. But to end on a positive note for the third method, it's extremely difficult to get up close and personal with these big headliner-sized artists like Alesso and Steve Aoki with the second method. Nobody's replying to those cold emails. But when you're on the official media team for a festival, it can really grant you access that the first two methods simply can't. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing, guys. We covered a lot of information, and I hope that wherever you are in your music photography journey, you got the answers that you needed from this video. Now, I have a plethora of music photography and videography videos on my channel that you can watch from here, but I think one of these two will catch your attention. Regardless of whichever video you choose, I'll see you there.